So many times the evangelists write about people who come to ask Jesus questions, that they were asking this to test him. That it is not really to find out what is God's will, but it is to test Jesus and almost to try to trip him up, to make him look foolish if he were to respond in a way that they didn't agree with. So Jesus is so careful in his response, but in his response we can find out so much about who Jesus is and about the ministry of the kingdom that he has come to proclaim. So today it's the Pharisees who ask Jesus a question about divorce, and Jesus gives them a question. What did Moses say? What did Moses command you? And they write that he permits this idea of divorce. And Jesus uses that rather than going to quote any of the rabbis who then would try to either amplify or restrict what Moses was going to allow. Jesus gives a response that I think we all need to hear and to interpret what Jesus teaches in this light. He says, in the beginning, God created them male and female. Jesus's interpretation and Jesus's answer doesn't even go to this great figure who gave the law, who would permit divorce. Jesus goes back to the very mind and the heart of God. What is God's purpose? What comes from the mind and the heart of God? What is the purpose of marriage? He doesn't quote even Moses. When Jesus speaks, he speaks and tells us what is in the mind and the heart of God. What is God's desire? What is it that we're called to live up to? Not seeking any escape, but really trying to fulfill through our efforts what is God's will. That we become one. In marriage, in faith, in community, and most of all, in love with God and each other. It is a tall task, but we are given the grace to fulfill what is in the mind and the heart of God. God indeed will help us, that we might indeed become one.